This is a CSV file with username and passwords. CSV stands for comma separated values and is a common format if you're exporting data from Excel or a regular database. Typically, the first line on the header represents the header and is essentially the name for the column. So we'll see here, username is the name for the first column and password is the name for the second column. Each line thereafter represents a user with a username and a password separated by comma, as the file name indicates. They are all comma separated values. Using the CSV in K6 is not much different from using a JSON file, with one important difference. K6 cannot natively parse CSV files. But hey, that's okay. K6 has really more important things to do than parsing CSV. And anyway, there are dedicated libraries that can help do that. So let's try and parse this file and use this data inside K6. Now this time we're going to start from scratch. We don't have anything, so the first thing that we want to do is create a new shared array. So I'm going to go ahead and import shared array. And shared array is available in K6/data. Right, now that we have shared array, what we can do is create a new one. So new shared array. And the first thing that comes is the name, and then is the callback function. I'm gonna just start by creating the structure. So this is the structure, and we can call this users with credentials. And inside the function, what we're gonna do, we're gonna use open. We're gonna open the local file, which is called users.csv. We need to make sure that we have the right path to this. And this time we need a way to parse this. So we're reading this file, but we cannot transform it into a JavaScript object. So for that, we need to use a third-party library. And one popular library is called PapaParse. So I'm going to link you this documentation as a resource to this lecture. PapaParse is super easy to use. So essentially, we just have to use the parse method, and by default, PapaParse will try to convert this. Now, of course, there are also some more advanced settings, but I'm going to get to those in a second. Now, PapaParse is not built into K6, so we need to import it. Now, we can import it as a local file, so we need to download it from somewhere, but that's slightly more complicated. Luckily, K6 offers these libraries that we can use. So these are libraries that are hosted by K6. They're all open source libraries. And PapaParse is also available here. So we can just locate the library that we want to use. In this case, this is PapaParse. I'm going to click here on the version. I'm going to see here, this is the library. Not so much to see. The most important thing is here, fetching the link at the top. And going back to K6, all we have to do is write something like import. And we can write import PapaParse from. I'm going to specify here the URL. Super simple. Okay, so now we have PapaParse. What can we do with it? We're going to use here PapaParse.parse. And we are parsing now this file. Right, so we're getting the information from this file. And inside this parse method, we also have an additional option that we can provide. So the first, we are providing the contents, right? So the result of opening the file. And then we can also provide some additional options. So for example, we can provide an option saying, hey, we have a header here. We can write something like header, and header has the value true. If you go to the PapaParse documentation, under this section config, you will find additional configuration that you can pass. Sometimes maybe you have a new delimiter, or you have other things. So for example, here, some things are an auto detect, and some of them are, have a default value that we need to check. In this case, header has the value false, and we want to set it to true. So this is why we're setting it there. Right. So we are using PapaParse to parse this. And let's see what we're getting back. So we're going to try here return. And also let's put this in a variable. I'm going to call this user credentials. All right. So I think we're making good progress, but let's make sure that we have what we need. So I'm going to use console.log this variable so that we can see what is inside it. So K6 run external CSV. This is what we're running. And we're getting here an error. It's telling us only arrays can be made into shared arrays. So it means that it seems that at this point something is off, something is not working so well. So this error is a bit confusing, but it is essentially occurring because we haven't used the data property. So we need to write here that data when we're returning this from external CSV. Let's try it once again. And now this time we're going to see the data that is in the CSV file and see it's properly parsed. So we have it here, right? So let's now do something very basic. So let's just iterate over this. So I'm going to write here user credentials dot for each. And for each user credential, I'm just going to get here an item. I'm going to use here console.log item.username. That should be enough. I'm going to remove the console log from here. So this just goes to show how we can use it then inside the default function to send requests and to have the data that you're looking for. So here it is. This is the example that it's going to give you the information that you're looking for. So this is how we can read a CSV file and parse it in K6, and then you can easily use it inside your default function.